to the Free Kick Podcast. My name is Todd. Man, it feels great to be back talking Philadelphia Union soccer. And it's also crazy to think about, 16 more days, 15 more days, depending on when you guys are listening to this podcast. That's all we have left until the first Philadelphia Union game of the season. As we know, the Philadelphia Union are going to be taking on Saprissa on February 20th in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. No more CONCACAF Champions League. It's the Cup now. And so that game will be 10 p.m. It's a late game, 10 p.m. Man, and you guys are thinking, wow, Todd, you haven't talked Union soccer in so long. And you're already complaining a minute 30 into this podcast. I am, because I didn't realize that game's going to be played at 10 p.m. on February 20th. God. So late. And then the first official league game for the Union will be played February 24th against the Chicago Fire at home at Subaru Park at 7:30 p.m. And then the second leg of the CONCACAF Champions Cup is that Tuesday, February 27th at 8:15 p.m. So, for you people that are missing Philadelphia Union soccer, you get 3 games in a week. That's fantastic. Maybe not so much for the players, but for fans, that sounds fantastic. Get to go to Subaru Park, 2 games in 3 days. And we're all going to be cold. We're all going to be complaining that it's freezing, that we're here at Subaru Park at 8:15 on a Tuesday night. But man, we do crazy things for this club that we love. Real quick, though, before we get into the podcast episode, I do want to give all of you guys a shout out for listening to our mini-series at the United Soccer Coaches Convention in Anaheim, California. Had a fantastic time and just really, really grateful that I got to experience that with Kyle and Jillian and Omni. You guys have listened to their episodes that we recorded out there, that they recorded out there. And I'm really, really happy that I got to experience that. Got to do it with 2 really great friends of mine. And next year, Chicago. Will we be there? That is the question. I don't know. Debating. 1, do I get invited back? 2, if I get invited back, do I want to go to Chicago in the winter? Never been. So we've been 2 years in a row now at the Coaches Convention. Might as well make it 3, right? But we don't have to think about that until October, November of this year. But a lot's happened since I last gave you guys a Philadelphia Union specific podcast. The last one I think you guys heard was when the Union announced that they had re-signed Kai Wagner, and Kyle, Jillian, and I, we give our thoughts on that, and super excited to see a fantastic player back with the Union, a player that means so much to this club, a player that I argued on their show that he's been the best Union player over the last 5-6 seasons. And glad to see that the Union were able to get a deal done with Kai. And remember, he still has a 1-game suspension to serve, so he'll miss that home opener against Chicago Fire. But big piece of business that the Union took care of. And there was a lot of questions, I think, coming into this offseason. A lot of people that I talked to, myself included, felt that this was probably the most important transfer window for the Union. And maybe people were saying, well, why is that? Well, you had question marks. Who's going to be your left back? You re-signed Kai Wagner. All right, great. Alejandro Bedoya is a free agent. Does he come back? Remember, before the season was over, Ernst Tanner apparently gave Bedoya a 20-second conversation, said, nope, we're not bringing you back. Spoiler alert, Bedoya's back. We'll talk about that, get my thoughts on that here in a bit. Who's going to be the backup goalkeeper? I think that's a big question right there. Joe Bendick wasn't coming back, and with Andre Blake certainly going to miss games because of Copa America, yeah, who's going to be a goalkeeper? It's not going to be Joe Bendick. Is it going to be Holden Trent? And that's what it looked like it was going to be for the longest part of this offseason. Then the Union go out and trade for a goalkeeper. We'll talk about him in a bit. And then depth. You just need depth. And do you feel like this club has enough depth now? I think the one area that you needed to get stronger in was the midfield. You would have liked to have seen a backup number 10 for Daniel Gazdag, because look, he's going to miss games too, going away with Hungary during the Euros. And so the Union, as of right now, haven't went out and signed another 10. And Joaquin Torres is still here on the roster. That's why the Union went out last season and got Joaquin to be that backup to Daniel Gazdag. And now he'll get another chance to show why the Union made that trade with CF Montreal last year. Quinn Sullivan, he can play there as well, but I think we'll probably see Quinn play as one of the Shudlers. That's where he's been playing apparently in the preseason. You know, it would be lovely if we were able to watch his games. Of course we weren't. But so we're talking about the signings that the Union have made, and a lot of question marks coming into this offseason. Did the Union do enough to make you guys confident now going into that first game against Saprissa? We'll go ahead and talk about Leagues Cup updates and all that. And that should be pretty much the end of this episode. But the first player I want to focus on that the Union brought in, that is goalkeeper Oliver Semmle. And this is a player that was playing with Louisville City in the USL. Oliver signs a 2-year contract through 2025 with a club option for 2026. The 25-year-old goalkeeper had a fantastic season last year with Louisville in 34 appearances, accumulating 72 saves and registering a league-high 13 clean sheets. He also set a new league record for the most clean sheets earned as a rookie. Spent some time in Germany, spent some time around the college scene, and was a standout player last year with Louisville. He's a German native, and we know Ernst Tenner loves his guys. And I'm totally stealing a saying from Buck Showalter there. Yeah, I love our guys. None of you guys will get that. None of you guys will get that unless you're a Baltimore Oriole fan. But yeah, big questions. Who is going to be the backup goalkeeper? And in part of getting Oliver, the Union had completed a trade with Colorado Rapids as Colorado had drafted him 41st overall in the 2023 MLS Super Draft. The Union acquired college protected rights for Oliver in return for a 2025 MLS Super Draft second round pick. Ernst Tenner had this to say: Oliver had a standout campaign last year, solidifying himself as the best goalkeeper in USL. At 25 years old, he brings crucial experience while being young enough to have time to develop and grow into our system. With the increase in international play this year that will require players to be away with their national teams, we believe Oliver will be able to step in and fill an important role during that time. And that statement right there is so telling that Ernst Tenner and the club believe that this is their backup goalkeeper. Because yes, Andre Blake is going to miss time this season because he'll be away with Jamaica. And how confident did you guys feel that, all right, well, the Union are going to go into the season with Holden Trent and Andrew Rick as the two backup goalkeepers? Andrew Rick spent a full season last year with Union too. Holden Trent was injured majority of the season. And so he didn't get to develop. And now he's nursing a little bit of a finger injury this season with Union, and that's another setback. And that's huge for Holden. You felt like last year was a wasted opportunity. An opportunity for him to really solidify his team as the true backup goalkeeper for this team. Gets injured again. And maybe that injury forced the Union to say, you know what? This kid just can't stay healthy. We've got to go out and get another goalkeeper. And maybe it was the Union's plans all along to go out there and make this trade with Louisville. Now, from what I heard, the Union were very much in on John McCarthy. The Union really wanted John back. And as we know, he signed with LA Galaxy, went from LAFC to the Galaxy. And that put a damper on things. And once Louisville goes and makes a trade for Austin's backup goalkeeper, makes Oliver a little bit expendable. But maybe Louisville knew that, okay, we need to make this trade because we have something working with the Union. And for a goalkeeper that's 25 years old, it's plenty young enough. The one thing that I like is, the USL obviously isn't the highest league, but he has experience playing at the professional level. Something that Holden Trent can't say, played a couple games and then missed the rest of the season. It's not great. And so you want to rely on him. You want to give him a chance, but he can't stay healthy. Played 5 appearances last year for Union 2, 450 minutes. And that just, it sucks for him. It's no way around it. That sucks that you spend your whole full season in the Union organization out injured. And so his loss is now Oliver's game, and we'll see if he takes advantage of it. Obviously, the Union believe in him. The one thing that I'm not happy about with this deal is that Oliver's going to take up a international roster spot, and it's not great when you have goalies taking up those spots, but the Union do have them available, so it's not like, the Union have to go out here and make a trade. We do know that Mikel Uhr, Daniel Gazdag, and Jose Martinez all got their green cards, so that helped open up spots this season. It's huge for the club. We know international roster spots can be traded for a hefty penny. It feels like every offseason you see Nashville trading all the international roster spots away. They don't care about them. The Union, they definitely value those, especially when it takes forever for them to get players green cards. But to get three huge players in Mikel, Jose Martinez, and Daniel Gazdag, that's huge for this club, and it allows them to go out there and get a goalkeeper that's going to require an international spot. The last goalkeeper that required that, I believe, was Carlos Cornell a few seasons ago when he was on loan from Leipzig, from Salzburg. And then the Union sent him back, or Salzburg recalled him, and that international roster spot became available once again to the Union. But not a huge fan spending those spots on goalkeepers that are going to be backups. But look, I think the hope is that he's been in America for quite some time now, playing in the NCAA. Played last season with Louisville. So hopefully you would think, okay, maybe it's going to be a little bit easier now for him to get his green card, but we shall see. But there is one big question answered: who's going to be your backup goalkeeper? And Ernst Tanner says enough right there that we believe Oliver will be able to step in and fill an important role during that time, with Andre Blake being away. The next signing that the Union made was Markus Anderson. The Philadelphia Union announced that they have signed attacker Markus Anderson I'm not even going to attempt to say this name just like Kyle Almany didn't on the one team we agree on. So if Kyle is not going to try it, I'm definitely not going to butcher this. So they agreed to a 3-year deal that will run through 2026 with a club option through 2028. Ernst Tanner had this to say: Markus, who holds U.S. citizenship, is a very physical and quick striker. After initially playing in the 5th division in Spain, he was able to quickly progress to the 3rd division, where he has been performing at a very young age. He's another great example of how adept our scouting department is at identifying talent, and we look forward to integrating him as quickly as possible with the team. Now, some context for you guys here about Markus, about the club that he was playing for in Spain. This is the same club that helped produce Lucas and Theo Hernandez. Both players went on to play for Atletico Madrid and Real Madrid, respectively. Rodri went on to play for Atletico Madrid before, and now he's at Manchester City, as we all know. Marcus Llorente left the club to go to Real Madrid, and now he's at Atletico Madrid. So, I mean, they do have a very, very promising record of getting huge players through their academy, through the youth teams, to then go on to represent their country, play at some of the biggest clubs in the world. And then there was some reports out there that said that Real Madrid apparently wanted to sign Marcus to the B squad, and the Union beat out Real Madrid's second team. Now, how much do I believe those reports? I'm not sure. Because I usually feel like when Real Madrid comes calling, how many players turn down Real Madrid? And since Real Madrid has a prior relationship with this club, you feel like, okay, it's a little bit easier for these two clubs to negotiate a deal, to get something over the line. But it is the Philadelphia Union, the one signing Markus Anderson. And I'll be honest with you guys, I have zero clue who this guy is, as do all of you guys. And that led a question, from people on social media saying, oh, here go the Union again, just lowballing it. Here go the Union again, just signing players that we've never heard of. People feeling really upset. And my answer to that is, how many of you people heard of Kai Wagner? How many of you people heard of Casper Shibilko, Jamiro Montero, Jose Martinez? You'd be lying if you said you've heard of any single one of those players. And yeah, of course, right? You want to see players that maybe you recognize, players that are $5 million. Of course you want to see that stuff. But as we've come to know, that's not how the Union operate. And I'm fine with this, honestly, because most of the signings that Ernst Tanner has signed for the Union, they've panned out. There's nothing wrong with signing young players that have potential, because not every signing is going to work out. I mean, not every $5 million signing is going to work out. Do you guys honestly think that, or here's an example, Shaqiri going to Chicago Fire, and Chicago paid millions of dollars for him. Did that work out? No. Big signings don't always work out. Chicago Fire reportedly spending $12 million on a new striker. We saw FC Dallas recently spend big on a new striker down there. $13 million, I believe the reported fee was. Or up to $13 million. Who's going to be surprised if that doesn't work out? Look at Atlanta United, Pity Martinez, Ezekiel Barco. Did those guys work out for Atlanta? No. They spent big for Miguel Almiron. That worked out. They spent big for Joseph Martinez. That worked out. But the two Argentines did not. And so there is no guarantee, whether you spend big or low, that signings are going to work out. It's not just in MLS. It's not just the Union that doesn't happen with. It happens all over the world, right? I mean, here's a great example again. As you guys know, I'm a Manchester United fan. $90 million for Anthony. $50 million for Onana. Flops. Complete flops in their first season with Manchester United. Unbelievable. $90 million for Anthony. What a joke. It just goes to show you, it doesn't matter how much money you spend on a player, how much money you're paying them. Some are going to work out, some aren't. The one thing I will say, though, is I think it's very clear what the Union are doing. They got their core players locked up for the next couple years. And then as the Union move on from them, whether they trade them, whether they leave as free agents, the Union have their backups already in the system. And so you give them a couple years to learn the system, learn the solid play, how the Union want to play. Learn from the players that are in front of them. And when it's time for you to call them up in a couple years to fill the void, you hope that they work out. Now, of course, there's no guarantee, like I was just saying, that that's going to be the case, but you feel a lot better. Jay Sugarman feels a lot better spending $200,000 on a midfielder compared to $2 million on a midfielder that doesn't work out. Okay, so what if the $200,000 guy doesn't work out? At least I'm not losing $2 million. So, it is what it is at this point. I understand why fans are upset, especially when you see just the fees that are being reported for some of these players that MLS teams are paying for this winter transfer window. But again, I'll repeat, there's no guarantee that those guys are going to work out. There's no guarantee. Last bit of news, incoming players, that is club captain, club legend, Alejandro Bedoya returning to the Philadelphia Union on a new contract for the 2024 season. In addition to serving his on-field role, Bedoya will take on a new role as player development and front office specialist. Now, and just like myself, you guys were probably asking, what exactly is a player development and front office specialist? Well, thank you, Philadelphia Union, for putting this in your press release. The player professional development role allows MLS clubs to designate one player per year in this new position. The player must have responsibilities enabling him to contribute in different parts of the club's business, including but not limited to coaching, front office duties, and diversity liaison. Under this role, Bedoya will be responsible for supporting various Philadelphia Union front office initiatives in respect to marketing, digital, and social media. Additionally, he will help optimize the club's innovative player development model by serving as an important mentor to the club's young players and their development and strengthening the club's overall approach to player rotation. Ernst Tanner had this to say: "We are happy to have found solution that works best for Alejandro and for the Union to bring him back to the club where he can continue to contribute to the team and in the player professional development role. His leadership and work ethic are still vital components to our team's success, and his passion, commitment, and insights after serving in unofficial business and leadership capacities over the years will contribute greatly to his new role. We are confident that his contributions as a developmental mentor and front office specialist will be beneficial to the overall organization and are grateful to be able to welcome him back." Alejandro had this to say: "Philadelphia is my home and the Union is my club. This is the only MLS soccer team I've ever played for and where I want to stay. The development and ever-evolving success of both the team and the organization from the first day I started here until now has been nothing short of incredible to witness, and I'm grateful to be able to continue to contribute to both sides of the business going forward. I will continue to give everything I have to this organization, and I look forward to a successful 2024 campaign. It had to be done. You had to bring back Bedoya. And like I said, this was a role that I was not aware of whatsoever. The player development and front office specialist. I believe it's been around since 2020, 2021 maybe. So it's been around for a couple seasons now. First time that the Union have taken advantage of this. And with all the different businesses that Bedoya is invested in, Bedoya said, a couple times throughout the season last year that, when it does come time to retiring, can you see yourself as a coach? Not really. But I can see myself working in the front office. And that's exactly what Bedoya is going to be able to do in this new role. Of course, he's still going to be playing on the field. Is he going to be playing 90 minutes every game? Probably. I mean, you hope not, but look, how many years now have you guys been saying, oh, Jim needs to take off Bedoya. Bedoya's gassed. And he's still on the field 85 minutes into the game. And so I think you hope that Bedoya can accept, coming off the bench every now and then, that he can accept, all right, well, we can't play you 90 minutes every single game anymore. And I think Bedoya is, understanding of that. If not, would he ever resign? Probably not. Probably not. Made a joke the other day on Instagram, I believe it was, and said that he needs to take inspiration from El Sino and that super sub role. And look, having Bedoya come off the bench as a super sub is not the worst situation a club could be in. There's a lot worse situations you can be in than having Bedoya come off the bench. And what this does do, I think, is, if you're chasing a goal, yes, Bedoya can give you a goal, give you an assist. He did it last year in Leagues Cup, right? I forget what game it was. But it's like, are we seeing what the future could hold for Alejandro Bedoya? And then he goes back, starting every single game, playing 90 minutes. And it's like, oh, man. Just when we thought Jim was going to start subbing Alejandro earlier, goes back to playing him 90 minutes. But even if you're not chasing a goal, just bring on somebody that can, bring a calmness to keep things compact. Bring that leadership. You need that. And with Joe Bendik not coming back, people love to dog on him. But you're losing a big leader in that locker room. A player that's well respected. A player that's been around MLS for years. And you can't buy that. You can't buy that experience. You can't buy that type of leader that Joe Bendik is. And so it was vital to bring back Alejandro Bedoya. Of course, there's leaders on this team, and Daniel Gazdag, and Jesus Bueno, and Jacob Glesnes, and Andre Blake. But come on, this is a club captain, a legend, Alejandro Bedoya. And once he retires, of course he's going to be the next player up in the Ring of Honor. And I see people say, well, should he get a statue too? I don't know. I feel weird when we give out statues to people that are alive. I don't know. Maybe the Union feel differently and say, yeah, we're gonna give Alejandro a statue too. But it's weird, in my opinion, seeing statues of people that are still living. I feel like in my mind, I'm used to seeing statues of people that are dead. Not saying that Bedoya is not deserving of a statue. He definitely is, but I don't know. It's weird to me. Maybe I'm weird. Yeah, probably. But yeah, it's great to see Alejandro back, and I'll be curious to see that first game against Saprissa. Is he going to be starting? Is he going to be the captain? Is he going to come off the bench? But yes, like this is how Alejandro should be going off on his terms. You don't treat a club legend like this and not wanting to bring them back, giving them a 20-second conversation. And so, well done to Ernst, to Ale, to the whole organization, to getting over the differences, whatever they may have been, and saying, hey, look, let's go ahead and do this thing right. And Jim Curtin, to his credit, had been saying all along that he's optimistic that something is going to get done. And I got to give a shout out to Jose Nunez for being on top of not only the Bedoya news, but the Andres Perea, the Tommy Wilson leaving to Charlotte news. Jose Nunez has been breaking a ton of news the last month. We're so fortunate to have somebody like him covering this club, giving us information that nobody else was giving us. And yeah, I'll leave a link to his Substack if you guys want to support his work. Read his work if you guys don't have Twitter. This guy literally posts everywhere. And I believe that his Substack is free, but if you guys want to pay to continue to support his work, then I believe that he has that option on there as well. But everything he posts on there is free. And I mean, he's been crushing it, like I said, really, the whole last year. Like, the last month, all the news that he's broke, nobody comes close to the amount of stuff that he has broke the last month. And maybe ever. Maybe the only person I can think of is Kevin Kincaid. And to me, that's a great compliment. The new Kevin Kincaid. So hopefully you don't mind that, Jose. But then we did have the nickname Bolivian Bogart. So I don't know. What do you prefer, Jose? I'm sure you give me a call, you give me a ring with a nickname that you like, the new Kincaid. The Bolivian Kincaid. What about that, Jose? The Bolivian Kincaid. I like that. Better than the Bolivian Bogart, I think. The Bolivian Kincaid. I like that. So I look forward to your text, Jose. But anyway, getting back on track. I think it's interesting when you look at the average squad age from this current team to last year's team. And I thought it was going to be a lot bigger of a difference, and it's not. So the average squad age for this year's team with 29 players is 24.6 years old. Last year's squad age was 24.8. And last year's roster only had 24 players on it. So, of course, like adding those 5 players is going to make a difference. But this team does seem a lot younger. I don't know about you guys. A lot of early 20s. Hamir Badesio, 21 years old. Nate Harriel, 22. Jack McGlynn, 20. Leon Flock, 22. Who, by the way, is going to miss 3 months with a pec injury. That's terrible news. A player that, man, apparently was right on the bubble for getting his first call up with the U.S. national team. Suffered injuries last year. Said that he came into preseason in the best shape he's ever been. And injured. Wow. It's a huge blow for Leon Flock. Sanders Nagbro, 19 years old. Markus Anderson, 20 years old. Quinn Sullivan, 19 years old. It's a lot of young guys on this team. A lot of young guys. And like I said 10, 15 minutes ago, whatever it was, I do like what this team's doing. You know, they're thinking of the future. They're taking flyers on guys that may or may not pan out. They've got their core guys locked up for the next couple years. And when it's time for them to move on, they've already got players on the roster that theoretically should take over for the next wave of guys. So was a little bit surprised seeing that the average squad age was similar between this year's team and last year's, but 29 players on the roster this year to 24 last year, which also 29 players. When's the last time we've heard that many players on the Union squad? It's been a minute. But then there was 2 departures that I didn't talk about in the last month because of the soccer coaches convention. The big one, Andres Perea. The Philadelphia Union announced that they have acquired a guaranteed $650,000 in general allocation money from New York City in exchange for midfielder Andres Perea. The Union will receive $350,000 in 2024 game and $300,000 in 2025 game. An additional $150,000 is available if certain performance conditions are met. And don't forget too, New York City paid $300,000 in game for 2024, while Andres was on loan last year. And so the Union have already made $950,000 in game for a player that only played 11 games last year for the Union. That is terrific business when you look that the Union paid a total of $750,000 in game to Orlando City. So they made a profit of $200,000. Yes, it's funny money, but still, that is terrific business by the Union. A player that only played 11 games? Wow. Only somebody like Ernst Tanner. And of course, credit has to go to Andres because he played fantastic for New York City while on loan. And so that helped New York City make their decision easier, saying, yep, we're going to do everything we can to make this move permanent. And I think this is the right move for all parties. The right move for Andres as he's playing in a system that he's used to, the system that played similarly in Orlando City. And the Union, like I said, made an extra $200,000. It's fantastic. New York City get a player that fits their system. They know fits their system. And if the loan didn't work out for them, then they're out just $300,000 last year. That's it. But it works out for all parties, and it sucks that we didn't get to see much of Andres, but yeah, this is just one of those moves that you got to be happy for everybody all around. Nelson Pierre was the second move as I'm losing my voice. This is what happens when you don't have a conversation with yourself in a month. Definitely feels a little bit weird. And this is what I get too for not having water next to me. Same thing happened maybe like a year ago. And I got called out for it. It's like, dude, what are you doing? You've been doing podcasts for years now and you don't have water with you? Rookie mistake. Well, here I am making that mistake again. But Nelson Pierre has been loaned by the Union to a Swedish side. Again, I feel so horrible not going to try to pronounce this. I know I'm going to butcher it. They play in the second division in Sweden. Nelson appeared 28 times last year with Union 2, 15 starts, scoring 4 goals. And this is a player that I didn't watch a ton of him. I didn't watch a ton of Union 2 last year, but from what I did see him, seems like he was kind of a player that had lost his spot. Other players had moved past him. Certainly Chris Donovan was one of them when he was playing with the second team. And so you hope that Nelson can continue to develop and maybe the Union have something in him. But again, the one thing I would leave you guys with is it's very, very hard to develop strikers. It's why strikers are the most sought after players in the world of soccer. They're the most expensive players. And most of the time, they don't work out when teams try to develop them. And so, do I know if this is going to work out, this loan? Do I know if Nelson's going to work out and be a contributing player to the Union in the future? I don't. But I think this is a good opportunity for him to see what he has and maybe he impresses enough. And maybe the Union are able to flip him. I didn't see any mention in the press release that this club has a buy option, but it doesn't mean that you can't talk if Nelson lights the world on fire. Doesn't mean that you guys can't be talking. So we'll see. You hope that it works out for Nelson. You hope that it works out for the Union. You hope it works out for this club in Sweden. And the hope for them is to get promoted to the first division. And they're hoping that Nelson Pierre can be a big part of that. All right. So the last thing that I want to say, because we know I always go an hour long talking to myself on these podcasts. I'm shocked that Julian Carranza was not sold in the winter by the Union. And this is a horrible mistake. This is a huge mistake on the Union's part. Now, apparently, Julian Carranza turned down 3 offers, 2 in Germany and Werder in Mainz. And then he turned down Ipswich Town in the championship in England. Now, I can't blame Julian for turning down these teams. But man, a player, when summertime comes around and the summer window opens up, he's only going to have 6 months left on his contract. And maybe a club comes in the summertime and says, yeah, we want Julian Carranza right now. We won't wait through 6 months to get him on a free. But the Union certainly aren't going to get $8+ million, $7.5 million that they turned down from Olympiacos during the summer last year. The Union have played this one completely wrong. And maybe some of the blame isn't on the Union because they accepted 3 transfer offers. Julian Carranza turned them down, which is his right, by the way. Just because you agree to the sale with the club doesn't mean that the player has to accept it. It's not like the Union can force him out. He has a contract with the Union. He's not doing anything against that contract. And so this is good for half the season. You hope that you can go far in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, that you can create separation from everybody else in the Eastern Conference and the Supporters Shield standings, kind of like Cincinnati did in the first half of the season. But man, I just can't believe that Julian Carranza is still a player with the Union. And I know hindsight's 50-50, but man, they really should have sold him in the summertime. And yeah, of course, it's easier to say now after the Union got knocked out by Cincinnati in the second round. Man, the Union just lost a ton of money. And my biggest fear is the Union would never get another player like Julian Carranza. They're not going to spend the money to get a player like Julian. A $6 million, a $6.5 million striker. The Union aren't going to pay that. So I guess you might as well enjoy him for as long as you can. And so, do you ride out the remaining year in the contract and lose him on a free? Potentially. Does Julian Carranza do you a solid and sign a contract extension so you can get more money for him? Maybe. I don't know if Julian's that nice of a guy, though. So a lot to think about in this move, a lot to think about with what went wrong. what should have happened. But the fact of the matter is, Julian Carranza is still a Philadelphia Union player. So enjoy him for these next 6 months. And like I said, hopefully the Union go far in CONCACAF Champions Cup. Hopefully they create a lot of separation for themselves in the first half of the season in MLS. But the last thing, as you guys can tell, definitely losing my voice because I don't have water with me. Rookie mistake, Todd. The League's Cup. The League's Cup is back indeed. From July 26th to August 25th, pausing domestic league competition as games are played across the United States and Canada. The teams are divided into 15 groups of 3 each. Also, 2 clubs receive an automatic bye into the round of 32, those being Columbus Crew, the MLS Cup 2023 winner, and Club America, the Liga MX winner. And, into Miami. They win League's Cup, and this is a joke, by the way. They win League's Cup. All right, so you get a berth into CONCACAF Champions Cup, sorry. But nothing special happens to you for the 2024 League's Cup. Great. I mean, happy that we're playing in Champions Cup, right? I guess it's the mindset you have if you're an Inter Miami fan, but you're not going to have any home games in the group stage because League's Cup introduced a tiered League's Cup ranking system, which goes off of your last 34 regular season matches. And we all know Inter Miami, not great in MLS last season. I'll leave a link for this tier structure for you guys to see because it's a lot. And I know I've been talking your guys' ear off. But I'll leave a link in the show description so you guys can see the 3 tiers. The Union, if you guys were interested, are in tier 1. They are in 7th place. And they have drawn Charlotte FC and Cruz Azul. The Union are going to host both of those games at Subaru Park. And then what happens if the Union advances out of the group all depends on who else advances. But you should see a guaranteed 2 League's Cup games at home for the Philadelphia Union. Miami gets shafted. Love to see it. And the rest of the matchups, I mean, again, I'll leave a link to all this for you guys in the show description. I've talked way too long. One thing that's interesting, though, that I didn't mention is there's going to be hubs for the highest ranked Liga MX clubs. And I'm not exactly sure what hubs are because the press release didn't go into detail. Hubs are supposed to cut down on travel, so I would assume it's going to be cities that these clubs want to play in. So I'll go over that list. The teams that can choose their hubs are Club America, CF Monterrey, Chivas, and Tigres. And so Tigres gets to choose their hub in the group stages. Chivas gets to choose their hubs all the way up to the round of 32. CF Monterrey get to choose all the way up to round of 16, and then Club America all the way up to the semifinals. And so this says, Liga MX clubs with hub privileges will play at venues to be announced alongside the League's Cup 2024 schedule and bracket at a later date. So that's pretty much everything I wanted to mention about League's Cup, July 26th to August 25th. All 47 combined MLS and Liga MX clubs are competing, pausing their leagues. 77 matches played across the U.S. and Canada, hosted at MLS stadiums. League's Cup champion, as well as the second and third place finishers qualify for the CONCACAF Champions Cup the following season, just like it was last year's League's Cup. And, if the games end in a draw, it goes automatically to a penalty kick shootout. A regulation win earns you 3 points, PK earns you 2 points, and a PK loss earns you 1 point. So there you have it, League's Cup 2024, and I'm sure as we get closer to the competition, I'll be talking about that a lot more with you guys, but it's great to be back talking Philadelphia Union soccer. Gave you guys a lot of information this episode. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I know I did. Some of you are like, no, you didn't. You didn't at all, Todd. We've heard you struggling the last 10, 15 minutes. You're choking, you're dying. Yes, I am. But it does not mean that I did not enjoy speaking into this mic, letting you guys hear my voice, talking about this club that we all care so deeply about. So we have a lot planned, maybe a guest, maybe a couple guests coming up here in the next couple weeks. We'll have our season preview. Do we do a preview for Game 1 of the CONCACAF Champions Cup? Potentially. Do we get our special guest, a.k.a. Tyler Terrans, on for the very first MLS season game against Chicago Fire? Maybe. Have to decide. Do I want to bother Tyler this early into the season, the very first game? I feel like there's a chance if I try to ask him this early in the season, with the season being so young, so fresh, so much preparation going on, I feel like I may get shot down. But he's also my boy, so maybe he doesn't let me down. So we'll see. But definitely going to have a couple episodes here for you guys the next couple weeks. I guess so too, maybe. Predictions, previews, all that jazz. Whatever you guys want to hear, I'm all ears. But if you guys aren't following podcasts on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, follow @FreeKickPod. Wherever you get your podcast, The Free Kick. The YouTube channel, youtube.com/FreeKickPod. Am I forgetting anything? I don't know. You guys tell me. I haven't done this in a while. I think that's everything. But until then, my name is Todd, and this is The Free Kick Podcast.